Welcome to Satsang. Such a joy and a gift to gather together with you all. We'll start, as we always do, with a question that's come from our beautiful family joining us from online, tuning in from different ways, and then we'll open it up to any questions that anyone here has. And there's a microphone right there in the center, so if you have a question, don't be shy, just come up to the microphone and share your name and your question. Why do I feel Vinod ko budala na biya? Why do I feel emptiness in spite of having everything and every relationship? I am confused. This is from Julie Ray Huashi. You feel empty because the things that you are trying to fill yourself up with don't actually fill it. It's like that wonderful story that I love of the woman who, and she's down on her hands and knees looking for something, and this holy man walks by and he says, "Mother, what are you looking for? Can I help you?" And she says, "I've lost my key." So he gets down on his hands and knees with her and starts searching, and they don't find it. And finally he says, "Mother, where exactly did you lose your key?" And she said, "Oh, I left it in the house." And he said, "So if you lost it in the house, why are you looking out in the road for it?" And she said, "Because my house is dark and there's this great bright street light out here. So I thought, well, let me come and look for it in the light." So he says, "Mother, an army could not find your key out here. Go back inside. It may take you a little while, but eventually you'll find it." And I love that story. It's told in a variety of different ways because it speaks so much to that emptiness. We are looking for something in a place it doesn't exist. We are looking for fullness. We're looking for meaning. We're looking for fulfillment. We're looking for depth and peace and joy and truth. But we're looking for it in shopping centers, in titles, in degrees, in careers, in followers on social media, in different relationships with different people. And it's not there. Now, that doesn't mean those things are bad. Shopping is fine. Having a job is fine. Having a community on social media is wonderful. Having relationships is wonderful. But that which you're looking for isn't in them. It's like if instead of saying she was looking for her key, the woman had said, "Oh, I'm out enjoying the moonlight," or "I'm taking a walk." No problem. Being outside on the road in the night is not the problem. Shopping isn't the problem. Relationships are not the problem. Careers are not the problem. Money and popularity is not the problem. The problem is what we are looking for. as she was looking for the key that didn't exist there. We look for our fullness. And it's not our fault. We're kind of brainwashed and indoctrinated to believe
lack of connection with our true spirit, our essence, our true self?
Great question. And it's a place I love because I have a background in neurology and in psychology, so I love the place where they all overlap. ADHD or ADD, attention deficit disorder, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Here's what interests me most about, let's call it a disease just for the sake of conversation, is the numbers of it are skyrocketing. Now, some of that is that we're more on the lookout for it. So you can attribute a small percentage of the increase to more finely attuned therapists, school counselors, doctors, etc. But it doesn't account for all of it. I don't even think it accounts for half of it. There's something going on in our society today in which huge percentages of people are now diagnosed with this and prescribed medicine for it. So I don't think it's a disconnection from spirit. I actually think it's something that we have caught from our way of living. Let me shift into how the brain works for a moment in just very, very basic terms. We've known for a long time that the brain kept changing up through adolescence. So when I was studying neurology 30 years ago, we were told up until late adolescence, early 20s, your brain is still changing. The axons are myelinizing. You can make changes in the brain. After that, your brain becomes basically fixed. This is what they taught us 30 years ago. And your only hope, once you're in your mid-20s or later, for anything, depression, anxiety, whatever it may be, was to take medicines that would change the chemistry in your brain. In the last 30 years, they've come a full 180 degrees, and we now know that our brains continue to change. And I wanted to begin with that because that's the good news. Here's what I think is happening. ADHD and ADD are treated by drugs that by common sense do the exact opposite of what the disease is. Hyperactivity. The H in ADHD stands for hyperactivity. They're the kids who can't sit still. What do we give them? Stimulants, like coffee and a pill. Now, using just basic common sense, that would make no sense. You would think these kids need to be calmed down. Give them something that calms them. Give them a central nervous system depressant. But we don't. The medicine that works for them is a stimulant. Which makes you really wonder, what is this disease anyway? Like, what's the core problem? If essentially coffee in a pill, it's more complex than that, but it's a stimulant, is what works. Here's what I think is happening. We went from a time in which entertainment via devices and technology was a television. Obviously, there were times, long time before television, but let's start with television. And you had a TV and you would watch a show. And the show was normal people living normal lives, doing things that were funny or interesting or, think of I Love Lucy type of show, right? Normal people living normal life, just being kind of funny about it. Then what happened is, and in order to change the channel of your TV, you had to get up and go to it and actually move a dial. And there were maybe 6 or 8 different options of things that you could watch at once. And then we got remote controls. Then we got cable TV, so then there were 30 channels. Then there became 300 channels. Then we started getting these strips that run along the bottom of what people watch. You want your news feed to come at the same time that you're watching your sitcom? No problem, that'll run. Then we got TVs that will show you one thing on the main screen, and then you can have a box in the corner and watch something else. Then we got video games. Things falling, things flashing, and I'm not even talking about the really fancy schmancy stuff. I'm talking, basic stuff. Balls are falling, guns are falling, whatever it is, you gotta be quick. Then we got devices, phones, iPads, etc. The average kid now, if you watch a kid watching TV now, they're not sitting on a couch watching one show. They're watching one screen on which 3 things are happening. And they've got a device simultaneously that they are scrolling, that's simultaneously beeping, buzzing. The child's brain adapts. It adapts. It can move at that speed. You give them, that's why they're so much better at video games than adults. Their brains have actually adapted to the speed at which these things are falling. The dilemma is, real life doesn't move quite so quickly. Teachers with chalkboards don't move quite so quickly. Their brains have adapted to a very sped up life, to a life in which they are getting lots and lots of stimuli at once, each individual part of which is moving very fast. And they have to be able to pay attention simultaneously to all of it, be able to react to all of it simultaneously. And they're great at it. It doesn't bother them. But then you put them in a regular life situation. It's dinner time. Let's sit at the table. Until and unless you're going to take a bunch of balls and throw them at the kid's head at dinner time, or while they're in a schoolroom, There's not enough going on. I think we have actually engineered the brains of our youth to be fantastic at what technology we've handed them. But it has made them tragically ill-equipped to live at the speed of normal life. And the same thing happens, of course, to adults, because we know our brains can also change. So get yourself in a habit of watching TV like that, of changing the channels every time a commercial comes on, of watching so many things simultaneously and the phone and this. You'll get better at it. Not necessarily as good as a 10-year-old, but you'll get better, your brain will adapt. And real life becomes not just mentally boring, but actually neurochemically boring. And this is why we have to give kids stimulants to get them to pay attention in school. So I don't think it's an issue of spirit. I think it is an issue of the way that we live, the way that we are letting our children live. And the good news is it's reversible. Time in nature, anything, we're electrical beings, literally. If you do anything that grounds you, and again, I don't just mean spiritually, I mean actually electrically, physically, like bare feet on the ground, bare feet in dirt, bare feet on sand, bare feet in grass, ideally grass that is still wet from the dew, in water, in the sunshine, with trees. The earth grounds you. I mean, anybody who knows anything about laying electrical wires, right? If there's no earthing, everything's, doesn't work. You get shocked from it. It's literally buzzing with too much electricity. It shocks you. Same thing happens with the bodies and the brains. So if your kids are going to be on devices, which of course we can't avoid, I would say, first of all, make a rule, one thing at a time. You want to watch a TV show? Okay. Here is your TV show. The phone is away. The remote control is out of their hands. One thing at a time. And I would make sure to limit the amount of time that they are staring at screens as much as you possibly can. Make rules. Rules about the bedroom, rules about dining room, rules about meal time, rules about homework time. And I would get them in nature as much as you can. As much as you can. If your kids are coming home from school and getting on their devices, kick them in the seat of their pants and send them out to play baseball in the road. Just get them in nature. You don't live in the woods? That's okay. There's sun, there's a tree somewhere, there's dirt somewhere. Get them grounded, get them anchored. And it'll help change the brain. But we've got to literally reprogram it electrically to go back to understanding what normal speed is. Yeah. Make sure to have, at least one deep, long conversation a week. What you'll see is they can't pay attention. Most of us can't pay attention either. It's an incredible tragedy. Challenge yourself. One long, and by long I mean like an hour, not 5. Have a conversation with someone. 45 minutes, an hour. Don't look at your phone at any time during that. Stay engaged. You'll find what a challenge it is for you, and you'll find that so many of the youth can't do it. But it's teachable, it's trainable. It's how the brain naturally is before it gets programmed alternatively. So just make rules in the house. Once a week, we sit, we have lunch, we have dinner, we have a conversation. No devices. Not only is it good for the family, but it's good for their brains. Yeah, of course. Good. Other questions? Yes.
I would like to hear your opinion on psychotherapy.
Psychotherapy. I love psychotherapy. We are spirit, we are soul, we are divinity. We are eternal, we are consciousness. And we are all of that in a human body with a karmic package for this lifetime. And that's not random and it's not irrelevant. And in this human package and journey, we struggle. We all struggle. We struggle with slightly different things trigger different ones of us. But we all struggle in this journey to find peace, to find joy, to not get angry, to not feel jealous, to not be negative, to not be stuck in things that happened in the past, to not be stressed, to fulfill our potential, to heal from past wounds. Right? These are universal lifetime challenges, we could say. Psychotherapy is an incredibly powerful tool to help, especially if you are stuck from achieving any of that because of stuff that happened in your childhood. Say the first 10, 15 years, especially of life. Based on how you were raised, based on what you were taught directly, indirectly, based on experiences you had. These things stay in, they become our subconscious. And in most of our cases, that stuff is the core root of why we struggle. We may think you're really angry at somebody from yesterday, but chances are it wouldn't make you that angry if it wasn't triggering a core wound from a long time ago. Psychotherapy helps us see that. It helps us understand that. I find it fascinating. However, the dilemma with psychotherapy is, from at least my experience, both on the receiving side and the giving side and the studying side, is it's very, very good at taking you into your darkness, showing you why you feel a certain way, all of the pieces around it. But it's not very good at turning you around and sending you back into the light. Which is why so many people spend decades in psychotherapy. I mean, to me, if it were something that worked well, you would go in, you would do it, and then you wouldn't need it anymore. You know, you may go back for tune-ups every now and then, but you wouldn't need to be constantly in something, because it would have caused the shifts that you needed, and then you could live your life without suffering. But it doesn't actually have much of that. And this is where spirituality and psychotherapy, I think, overlap so beautifully. Spirituality without psychotherapy, if you are deeply suffering, can very easily become a spiritual bypass. But psychotherapy without spirituality can very easily become the type of situation where You can write a book about your own neuroses, but you're still neurotic. You haven't found your way out, but you know everything there is to know about this darkness. Pujya Swamiji said to me in the very beginning when I first came, I was talking about something about my psychological process and why I was the way I was, and something like that. And he looked at me with the incredulousness of someone who lives as spirit, as soul, and doesn't have a psyche that suffers. And he said to me, you people in the West, he said, you sit around in a dark room and you talk about how dark it is. And you talk about what it feels like to sit in the dark room. And you talk about why it might be dark and how long it's dark and what the molecules of darkness are made of. And he said, here in India, we go like this on the wall looking for a light switch. And to me, that's really where the psychology and spirituality meet. Are you living in darkness? Okay. It's interesting to see it. What is it? Because my darkness is different from yours on that human level. It's interesting. When you get triggered, it's interesting to know, oh, yeah, that's just because, that happened when I was young. But then you got to get out of it. You got to find that light switch and get out of it. And I have yet to find psychotherapy being very good at that. That's where spirituality comes in. Good. Yeah. Any other questions? Yes.
Since some years I'm struggling with an anxious attachment style and I'm healing myself. I can feel the difference.
I'm so sorry. Can you come just a little closer?
Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I'm struggling with an anxious attachment style towards others, but also towards food, towards friends, towards so many things, let's say. And I feel the difference that I'm healing, but I'm interested if you maybe have tips or things that can help improve an anxious attachment style.
So our attachment styles come from childhood. And the dilemma is you can't rewind life. You can't go back and change how you were parented. You can't go back and make your parents enlightened beings. You have to say, this is where I am now. And again, the psychotherapy is interesting. Okay, this is why. When I was young and forming my attachment, here's what happened. Here's what happened with mom, or here's what happened with dad, But then you say, now I'm an adult. I'm no longer a breastfeeding child. I'm no longer a baby in mom's arms. I'm no longer the helpless toddler. Having a label for why I am as I am, at this point can start to become more of a hindrance than a help. Because it gives us a label. Oh, yeah, I'm like that. Here's why. I was abandoned when I was young by my biological father, and true story, and suffered severe abandonment issues for much of my young life. It was a great way of explaining to people and understanding why you couldn't leave me, whatever you did, just don't even go to work. Here's why I'm having a temper tantrum when you are just getting up and going to work. But that's all it does, is it explains. It doesn't heal. And what I would offer you is, you are in a sacred place. You are in a holy place. You are in a place of transformation. let yourself let go of the label. That label is to a being who no longer exists. By the time I got to India at 25, there was not a cell of my body that had been abused, that had been abandoned, not a cell. And yet, I carried the identifications with me. Here's who I am, here's why I am what I'm like, here's why I suffer in this way. And yet, if you said to me, well, show me the one who was abused, show me the one who was abandoned, I couldn't have done it. Not one cell of my body. All of the cells of our body regenerate. Some of them very quickly. The skin cells every few days, the inner organs every 7, 8, 9 years. But within 8 or 9 years, you don't have one same cell left in your body. So what I offer you is, you sitting here are not the one who did not healthfully attach. You, the one, is a beautiful adult with the power and the freedom to make whatever choices about your life, your friends, your relationships, your connection, your internal world, your health that you want. Allow yourself, when you are here, to really give the story and the identification with the story to Ganga. She is the bestower of liberation. She will take it if you give it. But it's a lot easier than it sounds, because a lot of us hold on to our dis-eases because they're crutches, right? They allow us to move through life without fully stepping up to the plate of our life, without fully opening our heart, without fully embracing the power and the potential of who we are, the gifts of who we are. And so we use these labels. Well, you see, because I have this, I have that. Let go of the crutch. You don't need it. You don't need a label. You don't need a reason. It doesn't matter. What happened, even without knowing your story, I can tell you it shouldn't have happened. If I had a magic wand, I would rewind you to your early childhood and make it happen in a different way. Heck, I'd rewind us all to our early childhoods and make it happen in a different way. But we don't have that magic wand. What we have is right here, right now. We have the power to let go and to embrace the emptiness, the not knowing, the fear of the unknown, with full faith that we are being carried and held, and that when we let go of those labels that we have held on to, of those stories we've held on to, we will be caught. So just allow yourself to spend some time on Ganga. Offer it to her. Hold her water in your hands. Offer the story, offer the pain, offer the identification, offer all of it to her. And as you emerge, allow yourself to just live in the full possibility that actually all of these brand new cells make up a brand new being. Because they do. And let yourself move into today as the you of today. Not a beautiful young girl who doesn't exist anymore. Yeah. Beautiful. Have a a wonderful rest of your evenings. A beautiful day to our family joining us online. I look so forward to seeing you all again tomorrow. If we didn't have a chance to take your question tonight, we'll take it tomorrow. And do be sure also to take advantage of all of the beautiful classes and offerings here at Parmarth. There's beautiful yoga, meditation, philosophy, the sacred morning fire ceremony as well. Everything, of course, is open to everyone. Even if you're not staying in the ashram, don't worry, it's open to everyone. No charge for anything. So let us serve you in all of the ways that we can, and let yourself be enriched and deepened and fed in all of the ways that you can be. And so much love to you.